Hi, welcome to your English class. Tell me, is this a plane? Is it a car? Is it a train? Yes, right? Now tell me, when you travel by train, is it important to pay attention to the time? Yes, most of the time. So today, let's ask about train schedules. Let's start with some vocabulary. Check. Here we have Mr. Ramirez. Tell me, does he travel in February, April, and June? Yes. So we can say that he travels 3 times a year. He travels 3 times a year. I'm talking about a frequency. Now look at Oscar. Tell me, does he take the bus? Yes. In a day, does he take the bus 2 times? Yes. We can say that he takes the bus twice a day. He takes the bus twice a day. Now, look at the teacher over here. Does the teacher go on vacation 4 times a year? No. Only 1 time? Yes. So we can say the teacher goes on vacation once a year. The teacher goes on vacation once a year. And now let's go back to the bus. Tell me, is the bus coming at 9 o'clock? Yes. Is there another bus coming at 10 o'clock? Yes. Another at 11? Yes. So we can say that the bus runs every hour. The bus runs every hour. In all the pictures, I'm talking about frequency. Now, listen again to the information and try to repeat the sentences. He travels 3 times a year. He takes the bus twice a day. The teacher goes on vacation once a year. The bus runs every hour. Listen again, try to repeat. He travels 3 times a year. He takes the bus twice a day. The teacher goes on vacation once a year. The bus runs every hour. Very good. Now, answer some questions using this information. Let's focus on Mr. Ramirez. Tell me, does he travel 3 times a year? Yes. Yes, he does. Does he travel 5 times a year? No. No, he doesn't. Does he travel 10 times a year? No. No, he doesn't. Check my next question. How often does he travel? How often does he travel? In this case, the answer, he travels 3 times a year. So my question, how often, indicates or discovers a frequency, a repetition. How often does he travel? He travels 3 times a year. Let's go with the next picture. Let's talk about Oscar. Tell me, does he take the bus twice a day? Yes. Yes, he does. Does he take the bus 4 times a day? No. No, he doesn't. Check my question. How many times a day does he take the bus? How many times a day does he take the bus? The answer, he takes the bus twice a day. If you notice, the information that we discover is very similar. The frequency, the repetition. The only difference is that this option helps me indicate a limited time. How often does he take the bus? He takes the bus twice a day. How many times a day does he take the bus? He takes the bus twice a day. In this question, you can limit your time. For example, how many times a week, a month, a year, etc. Let's continue with the next picture. Look, does the teacher go on vacation once a year? Yes, yes, he does. Does the teacher go on vacation 3 times a year? No, no, he doesn't. How many times a year does the teacher go on vacation? The teacher goes on vacation once a year. Right, let's go to the final picture. Let's talk about the bus. Tell me, does the bus run every hour? Yes. Yes, it does. Does the bus run every 15 minutes? No, no, it doesn't. How often does the bus run? The bus runs every hour. Excellent. Let's continue practicing. Answer these questions using your personal information. For example, how many times a day do you check your email? An example can be, I check my email 5 times a day. All right, next question. How many times a month do you order food? Another example, I order food 4 times a month. Next question. How many times a year do you go on vacation? I go on vacation once a year. And finally, how often do you go shopping? I go shopping once a month. I go shopping 2 times a week. You choose. Use your personal information. Now, let's continue practicing. Here I have some incomplete questions, sorry, and you need to help me create the complete question and then let's give an answer. For example, how often, how often take a bus? The complete question, how often do you take a bus? For example, the answer, I take a bus 3 times a week. Let's go for the next one. How often go on vacation? The complete question, how often, let's write it over here. How often do you go on vacation? In my case, I answer, I go on vacation once a year. Let's go for the next one. How many times a year go on trips? In this case, the complete question, how many times a year, how many times a year do you go on trips? There we go. All right, an example of an answer, I go on trips 5 times a year. All right, and let's go for the next one. How many times a day check email? The complete question, you heard this one before. How many times a day do you check your email? All right, in this case, an example can be, I check my email 5 times a year. Sorry, I check my email 5 times a day. And let's go for the last one. How often miss your boss? The complete question, how often do you miss your boss? All right, and remember to use real information. You can answer, I miss my boss every week. I miss my boss every day. I miss my boss once a month. Or you can answer, I don't take the bus. I never miss the bus. Those are possible answers. Let's continue practicing. Let's see. And now let's advance over here. Remember that the purpose of this class is to ask about train schedules. So let's practice with some train schedules. Here I have the departures and arrivals board with some information from different trains. Look at the examples in the sentences. They give specific information about some of these trains. For example, let's talk about the train to New York. The train to New York leaves at 12:45. You can give the time, the schedule. The train to New York leaves at 12:45. Another option is to mention the number of the train. For example, the train 122 leaves for New York at 12:45. It's more common to say the individual numbers or divided in pairs. For example, 122 or 122. It's not so common to say 122, but it's not incorrect. It's okay. Let's go for the next sentence. The New York train leaves from track 8. Now they indicate the track. Remember, track is like the station or the space in the station. In this case, you don't have gates. Gates are in the airport. Gate B, gate 4, etc. For the trains, we have tracks. Let's go with the final one. This is a question. What time does the train for Baltimore leave? In this case, let's check the information and answer the question. The train for Baltimore leaves at 12:57. What time does the train for Baltimore leave? In this case, let's check the information. The train for Baltimore leaves at 12:57. Now, let's check the examples for the arrival section. Let's use the Boston train. The train from Boston arrives at 12:48. The train 121 arrives from Boston at 12:48. The Boston train arrives on track 2. And the final question, what time does the train from Miami arrive? In this case, the answer, the train from Miami arrives at 2:05. There you go. Now, let's go for the final practice. Choose a different train and try to give me all the information. Use the examples as a guide. For example, let's talk about Baltimore. The train to Baltimore leaves at 12:57. The train 436 leaves for Baltimore at 12:57. The Baltimore train leaves from track 6. What time does the train for Fredericksburg leave? There you go. Create your own examples. You can use departures, arrivals, or both. Remember that the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Now, thank you for being here. Thank you for your like. Thank you for the subscription. And thank you for sharing this video with whomever you think might need it. I'm Teacher Eddy, and I will see you in the next class. Bye-bye.